meteorologist Chase Jones.
You know, there's a whole lot of pumpkin holiday celebrating going on. As I doom scroll through social media, I saw one where they carve the pumpkin, then dunk it in a bucket of vinegar and water to somehow preserve the pumpkin. Not quite sure how that one works out or how long I'm supposed to soak it, but I'll try anything to keep that pumpkin alive for just a little bit longer. Now, sunset getting earlier and earlier, but it's beautiful out there. Zoe was talking about November 2nd being the date at which we're going to do daylight savings and rewind it about an hour, so it's going to get darker earlier somehow, and temperatures still inside that quiet range. Of course, let's repeat the record right now, all the way down into those upper 50s. Say it with me, all the way up into those upper 80s. And we're seeing how quickly we're cooling off underneath these clear skies for another perfect day here in the Concho Valley. The Storm Team Weather Center has been shut down so long, I think I might need to fire it up just to keep the engine warm. 72 in San Angelo. Everybody else joining us in those lower 70s across the entire area. Down about 10 degrees. Cooler weather off towards the east. 71 over there in Coleman. 74 over there in Sonora, 75 in Big Lake, 76 up there in Robert Lee. So 5 degrees across the entire Concho Valley for a beautiful end towards Hispanic Heritage Month. I was going to say the weekend, but it's halfway through the week, but it just feels like it's off for some reason. Dew points are in those 50s and those 40s, while humidity indices are in those 30s all the way up into those 50s. So you see the array of moisture. Now, we're tracking the upper level pattern, which is associated with upper level winds or higher wind speed. We're going to continue to watch this cold air try to push its way down. Now, it's going to cut off from the upper level system on a cutoff low off the west coast. That's going to try to weaken that high pressure that's just hanging out over the Concho Valley. But the next round of cooler weather somewhere in those 80s and those 50s. Now, everybody keeps talking about the rain over the weekend, so here's the moisture tracker. Of course, by the time it gets here, it's going to get pulled off towards the northeast. I don't think we're going to see any moisture as a result around Saturday, sort of timing it out with Ram Jam. Now, keeping my eye on the temperatures, here comes the cold weather. Then by tomorrow, warming back up. You see how it sort of pulses as we get closer towards the weekend. This is Saturday at 4 p.m. I don't think it's going to get hot enough to kick off some of that afternoon thunderstorm activity. Severe weather outlook is slowly moving up towards the north, and down at the surface, getting a better idea of the round of weather that's making its way across Wyoming and parts of Colorado. Now, take a good look at this futurecast. Beautiful skies all the way into the weekend, but this is a monster winter storm. It will hit Wyoming once and then come back around and hit Wyoming twice, then work its way off towards the east, but rounds of snow are going to make their way down from Montana. Here comes that cold front all the way down the panhandle and just stays just shy of the Concho Valley. So tonight, all the way back down into those upper 50s. We'll see if we get it right, but it was a good evening for a scary movie, but the strong pattern is going to be staying with us for quite a while. Then tomorrow, right back up into those upper 80s, but again, we're keeping our eye on how slowly we cool down from that heat with some of those stronger southerly winds making their way back in, because when they're out of the east, that lets me know that the low pressure did not make its way down into the Concho Valley. Now, get a good look at this weekend, because you have about 2 weeks until Halloween. Slowly warming up into those lower 90s. Then we drop about 10 degrees around Sunday, back down into those lower 80s, warm right back up into those lower 90s, then level out in those lower 80s, while those overnight lows level out in those lower 50s. Stay tuned. I'll move over the break. You're watching KSAN News at 10.